According to Greek records, Alexander the Great invaded India in 326 BC and after 18 months defeated King Porus. But did he really defeated this chieftain in the Battle of the Hydaspes? Alexander the Great fought against King Porus of the Paurava kingdom in the Battle of the Hydaspes during 326 BC. This battle took place on the banks of the river Hydaspes, Jhelum River, at the site of modern-day Mohn, Punjab, which is now part of Pakistan, and Alexander defeated this king. According to the Greek historians, he had a huge army with over 200 elephants. The question, however, remains in the light of overall evidence if Alexander really defeated King Porus. Indian historians have no record of the Battle of Hydaspes. This is the narrative that is taught to us, and this is an entirely Greek narrative. This is what the Greek historians have written about Alexander and his supposed conquest of India. Several conquerors at the time had fallen at the gates, Punjab, of India, and Alexander was one of them. Before Alexander, Syrian Queen Semiramis traveled with 400,000 troops to conquer India and returned with only 20,000 troops. The question, however, remains in the light of overall evidence: did Alexander really defeat this chieftain king? Indian historians have no record of the Battle of Hydaspes, and the event is only mentioned by Greek historians. And how come there is no Indian record of this king called Porus? Why is that so? And the strange thing is that after Alexander died, his general Seleucus Nicator became the overall king of the Greeks, and he again tried to invade India, and he entered eventually into an alliance with the Indian emperor Chandragupta Maurya. So, Indian records mention Seleucus Nicator extensively, but nothing about the Battle of Alexander against Porus. So, the Greek historian Herodotus writes about Porus like he was some great king who had a vast kingdom, but there is no mention of Porus in Indian texts. Herodotus, the father of history, the supposed father of history, is known to have invented fictitious lands and fictitious people. Porus was not a great king as depicted by Herodotus. Alexander ran into this insignificant small border chieftain, and because this guy had elephants and all that, that's why I believe that Alexander suffered a defeat in this skirmish with the Indian king. We also know that his horse died in this battle, and it is most likely that Alexander also got grievously injured in this battle with the Indians, and he had to go back to Babylon where he died. However, Alexander entered into India and is said to have returned with only 1/4 of his original troops, even though he made a few successes in the northwestern part of the country. Some historians are of the view that he returned because his army was on the brink of revolt for having stayed so long out of his house, and that he never defeated Porus. The heavy casualties, disease, and the fear of the mighty Magadhan Empire drove his army to revolt. Another view expressed is that Alexander may have not defeated Porus, but the battle ended in a stalemate, forcing Alexander to move out of India. So, it is time to revisit the history of India and revisit it from our own eyes and our own perspective. The great Russian Marshal Zhukov, who was one of Russia's great military strategists, wrote about this, and he said that what really happened was that Alexander probably lost to this minor border chieftain Porus. Greek sources later embellished the story and invented a story of Alexander defeating Porus and being forced back by the actions of his own soldiers. If you enjoyed this video, kindly show your appreciation by subscribing to my channel.